just a quick note on two of these episodes of the Writer's Block from my content day out at Moody High School. Two episodes, one with outside linebacker Caleb Goff, the other with strength and conditioning coach Cam Willis. Audio on these little lav mics here. These things shorted out on me or something. And not exactly sure what happened, but I have boosted the audio as much as I can. But I'm going to need y'all, when you listen to this podcast, boost your audio as well. Put on some noise canceling headphones that play music. Put on your Bose, put on your Sonys, whatever you got to do so that you pump that audio straight into your ear while diminishing any outside noise. They're great podcasts. Both guys were great. Apologize for the audio issues, and we'll get into these episodes right now. All right. Back with another episode of the Writer's Block here at Moody High School today. Now joined by Moody's strength and conditioning coach, Cam Willis.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming out and doing this for us.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
happy to be here, happy to be invited. I wanted to ask you first, your Twitter profile, Twitter, X,
Thanks.
whatever we're supposed to call it.
Yeah.
It says strength and conditioning coaching is just a small part of the story.
Yes, sir.
What's the rest of the story?
That's, to be honest, nobody knows. Man, as coaches, coaching, man, is a coaching in general, strength and conditioning, position coaches, head coaching, assistant. It doesn't really matter, man. Like, in my book, coaching is so much more than X's and O's. It's so much more than numbers. Because there's so many stories that, I hear, that a lot of coaches hear on a daily basis. There's so many things that we see. There's so many things that we live through with kids. That's the part that nobody really sees.
Yeah.
That's the part that kind of tugs at your heart, man, with a lot of this stuff, man, with a lot of these kids. I coach, guys and girls, man, and dude, if I could literally sit here for hours and hours and hours and just tell you stories about, some of the crazy things, that I've seen or heard or had to do for a kid because maybe they weren't necessarily, getting it at home, or they weren't, they were in a crazy situation, like all of my kids know, I tell them, oh, hey, double call me. And they know what that means. If it's on D&D and you really, really need me, I'm there, and a lot of coaches are like that, man, but I like to make that known to my kids, to my parents, man, that I'm here for real. I'm not just here for what you can do for me on the field. I'm not just here for what you can do for me on the court. I'm here for life, real life.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have way more days, Lord willing, you're gonna have way more days as just a normal human than you will an athlete. And that to me means more than anything. And so, the obviously, man, the X's and O's and all that stuff is great, right? But it's what comes after that for me is the big thing. And so I kind of, put that and stamp that on my kids' brains and hearts, man, and then, whatever comes after that comes after that. And whatever comes from the now comes from the now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Winning ball games, and that's just a byproduct of the kids understanding that you're here for them.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And so it's obvious, man. Like, you look here, man, I was thinking about my winning percentage. Like, my winning percentage since I got here, not just with football, but with football, softball, baseball, volleyball, track wrestling. Like, I'm gonna calculate my winning percentage and see, what's the difference, where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm up there. Oh yeah, I'm up there. Especially this year, man. Volleyball is on a freaking tear right now.
Yeah.
Obviously football, man. We dropped a couple, but
Y'all will be where you want to be.
We're gonna be where we want to be.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's kind of cool to see, man, and the buy-in, it's the culture. They figured it out, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. Don't be scared of that mic.
Oh, I'm not.
There you go. How'd you get into strength and conditioning?
So it all started at D1 Sports Training. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I think I've heard of it.
D1 Sports Training was a franchise, and it was out in the one local franchise that was here. It was in Homewood. It was right next to Brookwood Medical Center.
Yeah.
And so I started training there in high school.
Okay.
This guy named DJ Taylor
Yeah.
was there, and he was the coach of the prep group. That was like the high school prep going into college. That's what it was.
Okay.
So it was like all the high school kids.
Yeah.
And I started, training with that guy, and then next just one thing led to another, man, and I kind of fell in love with, strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
I was always into weight. I started lifting weights when I was like 10 or 11.
Wow.
Like in the gym, like in the garage.
Yeah.
Made my stepdad take me to the YMCA downtown, and like I just fell in love with it. And so when I say I've never done anything other than strength and conditioning.
Wow.
So like no other job. Well, I take that back. I had one other job when I was in high school, and that was I worked at a calendar store with my auntie.
A calendar store?
A calendar store. A lot of people don't know that.
A
calendar store in Brookwood Mall. It was right next to Lens Crafters. It was literally like a holiday calendar store.
Yeah.
I worked in there, and
You sell a lot of calendars in there?
And that was funny, like, dude, I sold a lot of calendars. Like, I was out in front of the store, like, getting people to come in, buy calendars. Like, I just was wasting time, and I was like, why not?
Making some money,
Let's make a little money, man. And it was fun. So
awesome.
I did it. So that was literally the only other job I had. I had that, and I worked at a car wash.
Okay.
For a very short stint.
Yeah.
And I also worked as kind of later when I started my business. Business owners, you got to do some things that you really don't want to do.
That's it.
And dude, I worked at a car wash. I had 3 jobs. I worked at a car wash. I was a janitor, and I was coaching. When I first started up, that was in 2019, somewhere around there. It was like right before COVID.
Not long ago.
Yeah, not long ago, man. And so I had to figure it out. And just, finally, made it through that phase of
the path isn't
life.
glamorous.
Oh no, it ain't. And dude, I had to clean Top Golf. I got to clean Top Golf. I didn't have to. I got to clean Top Golf.
That's where you were being a janitor?
So I actually worked for this company called Complete Janitorial Service.
Yeah.
And the guy who owned it, funny enough, his kid was the first kid I ever personal trained.
Okay.
And I just kind of stumbled upon him years later. It's like, man, I need a job, dude. And he was like, come work for me. Come be the head, like my head guy over at Top Golf. I just got this contract. I was like, all right, cool. And then obviously, man, like janitorial is not it's not like a glamorous job, right?
Sure.
And so it was hard to find like good help.
Yeah.
And so like, yes, I was a manager over it, but I was having to do basically all the work.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, that was like my spot to clean, like, and so I cleaned it, and that would be nice, dude, where like it was just me having to clean like 30 bays, 32 bays, 3 different levels. You gotta mop the floors, you gotta sweep, you gotta mop, you gotta clean it, like, dude, you gotta move all the furniture back, cause they move the furniture every night.
Yeah.
Dude, I had to do stuff like that, but like the whole time, dude, like the only thing on my mind I was thinking was like, man, I'm coaching. Like, I don't know when we get there, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna do it. And that's all I could think about when I was doing it. And I tell the kids the story all the time, man. It's like now I look up, because at that point I only had, I probably had 20 kids,
Okay.
like under me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't necessarily, like, I didn't have the people backing me yet. Right? Like, I had been in the game for a minute, but, like, I was still trying to find my way in terms of, you know, this being my business, right? Like, I was still trying to figure that out. And then, you know, kept growing, and so that's why I still needed the extra money to try to figure out, like, okay, how am I gonna do this? And start out, you know, t-shirts and all that stuff, dude. I was trying to figure it out. And now I look up and, dude, I got 8 teams, you know, I got well over 250 kids.
Wow.
Now, you know, I got basically, man, I got this whole city of Moody, like, behind me, like, dude, anything I do, like, they're gonna take care of me. And so, like, you know, I look back at that and I'm like, man, dude, I am blessed. Like, I've come a long way, and it's because of the people. It ain't, you know, nothing special that I did, man. It's just the people around me. You know, having Jake, you know, take care of me, and, you know, my other coaches at Hoover, man, like, and that's really, like, and to be honest, like, that's really, really where it started. I knew it could be something when I was at Hoover. Coaching my girls' soccer team, and just kind of blossomed. And then Jay got over here, and then Jake was like, man, look, like, I want you to do this for me, but I'm gonna also put you in a position to, you know, help the other sports too. And I was like, dude, that's all I needed. And then it just took off.
Wow.
Took off. And I got here, like, literally as soon as I got here, I started here in March of whatever year we got here. I think that was 21, I believe 22, one of those. Two. That's whenever the USFL first started.
Okay.
That was when I first got here.
Okay.
And I got a call from our strength coach that was at UAB with us, Coach Woodford. Literally, as soon as I got here, maybe like a week or two after, he called me. He was like, hey, I want you to be on my staff in the USFL. And I'm thinking, like, dude, I literally just got the Moody. Like, how am I going to do this? So he was like, we'll figure it out. So I told Jake, and Jake was like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, all right. And so I ended up working here, Hoover, and in the USFL. So I traded off.
Wow.
I traded off the car wash and the freaking janitorial service for the USFL and here. And I was like, all right.
Upgrade.
Now we doing something. And then that ended up turning into me getting a gig at the Chargers. And so he ended up calling me in one day. I was like, hey, would you want to work in the NFL one day? And I was like,
you pranking me right now?
I was like, what's up? He was like, man, I got this opportunity, man, that, you know, I'm gonna put your name in the hat. And I was like, all right. And he was like, it's called a Bill Walsh, you know, a fellowship, yada, 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 told me all about it. And he said, you know, Coach Lamondo was going to give you a call. And I was like, all right.
Oh.
So, like, a day later, like, Coach Lamondo, man, shout out to that guy, dude. Like, he called me, basically gave me the rundown, and was like, dude, you coming. And so I called Jake, I was like, dude, and this was like 3 weeks right before our first season.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I called Jake, and Jake was like, dude, go. he was like, run, don't walk.
Right.
So I called Monday. I was like, I'm on the way. Like, let's do it. And so I was like, dude, let me get here, you know, 2.5 weeks. So I went out to LA for 2.5 weeks and worked with Coach Mondo and all his staff at the time. And man, it was just life changing, dude. Like, you go from, you know, scrubbing floors to see how they do it in the league, and it's like, all right. And then for me, that was like confirmation, because I'd always told myself, like, dude, you're gonna do this. Like, you're gonna be the best strength coach in the country. One day, some way, shape, form, or fashion, like, you are gonna be the best. Like, whatever.
Positive self-talk.
Like, that's it. And dude, I still got a post. It's like my first post on Instagram. Like, literally in the post, like, me being the best strength coach is gonna start with these rookies. And at the time, the rookies were like ages of 5 and 7, and they threw me to those kids just because nobody else wanted to take them. I'm like, dude, I'll take them.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, literally from that moment, you know, everything I had to deal with in between to the NFL.
Wow.
It was like boom.
Yeah.
This is why. And then I get here, and then that's when we just take off. Literally, it was like a week before the season. I ended up, we beat the stew out of Pell City.
Yeah.
That first game, and then like I picked up all the girls' sports here, and it just kept ripping, man. It was just like, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, and crazy to like to see like all this stuff like happening now, man. Yeah,
that's nuts.
It's real.
Did you ever have a moment where you're like at Top Golf, you're like mopping or something, and you thought about quitting on the dream? Was there ever a moment where you doubted?
Nah, never.
Why not?
Because I knew it was gonna happen.
It's already written.
Like I knew it was gonna happen. It was like you weren't gonna tell me that. Like one thing about me is like you're not gonna tell me no.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe it. I don't accept it. I don't like no. You just I don't.
Where's that come from?
Man, to be honest, like I'm a kid from the hood.
Yeah.
Like I'm a kid that like I didn't have everything growing up.
Where did you grow up? Where were you?
I grew up in Inslee.
Inslee. Okay.
Right. I grew up in this 2-bedroom house. It was 4 of us.
Yeah.
Man, like I ended up making it a 3-bedroom house, which is a little more livable, right?
Yeah.
1 bath, and I would look out the window sometimes, and end up telling what you will see, right? And just being where I was from, and the crazy part about it was, like, as much bad as I saw, my parents put me in a position to also see good, even though we weren't necessarily living it.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of like I gotta get here one day, right? Like I'll never forget we went to my mom's. Still to this day, love them to death. The Campbells.
Okay.
And all of it. And it's funny because the Browns and the Campbells over at Hoover and the Hecklinskys, they're all related. And I coach all of them, so shout out to them. Yeah. Amelia, Caroline, like all the Hecklinskys, and the Campbells over there. My mom had worked for Mike Campbell for like forever. And so up until I was 13, we lived here, and my mom had worked for Mike. I mean, probably when it was like Future Tech or something like that. Like it was like a big warehouse where they sold like medical equipment.
Okay.
And so my mom worked for him, and we ended up like years. Now this is like present day. All of his like grandkids and his kids. Like my mom sings, and she sang at his son's wedding.
Wow.
And when all of their kids were like not born or super little at that time, I ended up like coaching them, which was like just like this. And we didn't even like notice until like a couple of months in. Like my granddad and Mike, it's Mike and like Campbell and Mike Campbell. And like Hecklinski, I'm like thinking like there's not many Hecklinskys in this world. No. I'm like, so man, pieced it all together, and I was like, dude, this is like crazy. Yeah. And so I never forget, man. Mike took me and his grandson. I cannot remember his name, but it's all of the kids that I coach now. Their uncle, because he's about my age. He took me to the SEC baseball tournament. Yeah. I'll never forget it. I had never seen anything like that was my first time I'd ever met. Like, I'd always played baseball. I played like hood ball, man. Like, I played baseball, dude. And so like I was into it. He took me to the SEC baseball tournament that year, and like I was just like, I was shocked. Yeah. Because I had never seen anything like that before, right? And so you get like a little experience like that, and like a lot of kids could get jealous, but me, I was just like, man, I want to do that one day. Like I want to not even like just playing in the game. Like screw that. Like I want to be able to just take somebody. He was just like, get whatever you want, man. Like nobody ever told me that. Like get whatever you want. Like so, I'm like at the concession stand, like I'm thinking like I'm calculating how I normally like calculate things. And Mike's like, man, dude, get whatever you want. Like the grandson was like, man, dude, get whatever. But he's like, and I'm thinking in my head like, all right, like okay. And then I did. And then I'll never forget, I didn't tell him thank you when he dropped me off. And my mom asked me when I got in the house, hey, did you tell him thank you? And I didn't even think about it. It's like, no, man. So I made sure, like, when I went back to work with her, whenever I went back with her that next time, I made sure I went into his office and told him thank you. And then from there, I always just went and talked to Mike. I always just talked to Mike. Because I was like, man, like, I want to be like this guy one day.
Yeah.
And literally, like him just telling me, like, dude, do whatever you want. Like that, to me, I was just like, all right, I got to do something. And the people that were from where I'm from, then that's just it. They weren't in a position. They may have had the heart to do it, but they weren't in a position to do such. And so that kind of started me. I think that singular moment right there, like, kind of started me on like this journey of like, all right, dude, you gotta figure it out, because nobody's gonna figure it out for you. Nobody's gonna come and save you. Nobody's gonna get you out of this space that you're in. And so when I was 13, we ended up moving to, because ironically enough, we ended up moving to, I went from like the blackest of the black neighborhood, and then we moved to Olive Branch, Mississippi. And I go to DeSoto Central High School, or DeSoto Central Middle School. Leading into, that was my 8th grade year. So like Christmas break of my 8th grade year, I ended up just living just changed. And I go to basically this all white school. Right. And I'm thinking in my head like, dude, what is this? Like where am I? Like literally, I'm in the twilight zone. Having trouble in school because I'm like, I literally can't understand anybody. Like what? So I had to adjust real quick. The one thing that I could translate was freaking football, basketball, and baseball. So I made football and basketball. I thought I was a true baseball player, right? I go out and try out, and I was like, come on, man, let's just keep it real. Like, you got kids in these white areas that play, live, sleep baseball. And then you got me, I play hood ball, dude. Like, I step up to the batter's box and I'm just trying to crank one, like, and I could, right? And so you got these kids who are like taking freaking baseball lessons, and they got all this gear on, man. I come out there, dude, glove and like some rain down shoes. I'm just like, all right, so let's do this. Let's go play. And so like obviously, man, I got like there was no shot of me. Like there was like kids throwing like 90 off the bump. I was just like that was a kid. I believe I'm almost certain that was a kid that year that was getting drafted. So like they were like real deal. Right?
This is different.
Yeah, but like the football, I was like, all right, I can do this. So like I played football, played basketball, kind of got in the mix, started to figure things out. But that was a sudden change at a very like gullible time for a kid, and then I ended up doing that, man, and everything was like good, and then I think, the football wasn't great. And I knew I wanted to go play college football. So I ended up moving back, and I told my dad, my biological dad, on a Tuesday, I was back home on Thursday, living with him. And then my mom was like, I can't do this. So she ended up, her and my stepdad and my little brother ended up moving back. And they moved back probably midway through. That was so I was in Mississippi from half of 8th grade year until the end of my 10th grade year. And then I moved back and I went to minor high school. So I graduated in a minor in 2012. So I was there 11 and 12. And so I was there for 2 years at minor. My mom ended up moving back, and then like as soon as they moved back, it was probably about six months later. we ended up finding out my stepdad had cancer.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and it was stage 4.
Yeah.
So we was like, all right, well, at that point I had to like put my big boy pants on. And,
Yeah.
like, I basically had to grow up because I had my little brother in his house. And I got 4 other siblings in this house. I'm just like, you know, I had to grow up super quick.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, man. And so he ended up passing away like right after my senior year. He passed away in July of 2012. And it ended up, you know, it was just kind of figuring it out ever since then, man. So,
My gosh.
yeah, man, I've been around, man.
That's a freaking story.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
Yeah. So I was just, and I'll never forget, like, before he died, we were sitting on the porch one night, and 'cause I was frustrated. Because he passed away, this was right before I went off to college. You know, that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up signing with Miles College out of high school. And I was frustrated because I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be bigger than Miles, man. Like, you know. And so, because I thought I was better than going to Miles College and D2 school. Like, I'm like, man, at least like a little small D1, like, you know, how every kid thinks, right?
Exactly.
And so I could have easily folded, but I never had that mindset like I'm gonna fold. So I knew I'm gonna go in here for 1 year and I'm gonna ball out and I'm gonna get up out of here. Well, I ball out. That's exactly what I did. Balled out, and I ended up getting hurt like 7 games into the season. Hurt my quad, my hammy, or something like that. And I ended up like having to sit, and things soured with the coaches, and they had already. I don't really like to talk about. I don't really put like too much negativity like on them, but things had soured, man. Like, you know, they weren't necessarily looking out for my best interests when they knew the situation that I was in financially with my stepdad, and so I was just sour, man. And so I said, you know what, I'm leaving. And so as soon as we played West Alabama that year, first round of the playoffs, and I got up out of there, walked on that UAB, and then that's how I ended up meeting Jake.
Oh yeah.
Because he was number 4, and then how our locker room was, it was like it started like 1, and then it just made its way around, like made its U, and then it came all the way back around. And so I was number 95, and I was one of the last lockers on this side. So me and Jake's locker were basically like, so he was like, by that time, dude, he was like a big man on campus already. Like, so I'm like, man, I walked on. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just follow him. I'm gonna just follow these guys, because it was like him, Cody Clements, Jimmy Jean.
Yeah.
You had freaking JJ Nelson. Like, I had all those guys. Like, basically 1 through, you know, 20 something were like right there in front of me.
Right.
You know, Dreek, Humphrey, like all those guys were like right there. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just kind of sit back, just watch these guys, see how they move, figure it out. Like, these are the top dogs on the team, so like, let me just sit back. So I figured out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go out and work these guys every day. You know, like, that's what I ended up doing, man. Ended up actually getting on the field. You know, Coach Clark, you know, got me on special teams, and like, just one thing led to another, and then boom, football program shut down. So,
Ray Watt saga.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother deal, man. So yeah, man, just kind of kept rolling. Ended up at UAPB after that. And so like my whole life, dude, you know, I said a lot, but like my whole life has been just like get punched in the face and like figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like get punched in the face and figure it out. And like I don't feel like, I'm not tooting my horn, but like there's not many people that can get hit in the mouth like I have and like bounce back every single time. You know what I'm saying? And so like I literally think like that's just what I'm built for. Like I'm built to do that. You know, and so you know, you ask me like if there was ever any doubt, like there's never in my life, like I don't even like I don't even.
Sounds like any room for doubt is not an option.
Nah, it's because if you speak in ifs, like in life, like if you speak in ifs, like you leave a chance for it not to happen or for it to happen. You know, me, I speak in wins. Like it's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And like either I'm gonna get there, or I'm gonna die trying. Literally, like I don't care. Like I will go to no end to like get a job done. You know, and I think that's what makes me me. That's what makes me like valuable to any program that I'm a part of. It's like I'm gonna figure it out. Like I don't know how I'm gonna figure it out. Always, but I'm gonna figure it out. Just hopping on back in this door. And like I've always been that way. And then, it is what it is, man. Like that's my thing. So when I was, sweeping and mopping the floors, I literally had my homeboy like with me, like Byron, like, dude, we gonna figure this out. And we laugh about it all the time. Like I call him like, dude, you remember that night? Because we literally sat there. We were dog tired. We sat there on the couches one night and talked golf when nobody was there. I'm just like, man, like we're gonna make it out of this. Wow. He was like, yeah, because he got the same mindset, and I was just like, we're gonna talk about it. And lo and behold, we talk about it still to this day, And so I'm just always it's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not forgetting where you were.
Oh yeah.
Where you came from, that kind of thing.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
You can't, dude. Like some of the things I done seen, you can't forget that.
No.
Some people turn sour, but me, I was just like, man, I got so used to like just seeing like off the wall crazy stuff, man. I'm just like, man,
well, it sounds like now you're using those experiences for this next generation and helping them along.
100%. 100%. Because a lot of these kids, people understand, man, Moody is a melting pot. And I tell people all the time, this is a melting pot of gangsters and cowboys. Yeah. And, it's the obvious. You got a bunch of black kids from the hood, and you got a bunch of country white kids. Yeah. And, like, that's indicative of why people love the sport of football, right? That's why people love sports in general. Because I got that on other teams, too. My softball team, too, I got hood girls. I got girls who, these country white girls. I got it all. And we got to figure out how to come together and win as one. And so that's why people love sports. That's why people fall in love with the idea of a team sport. And it's because, man, we got to figure this out together. Like, if I was to be negative and if I didn't figure things out when I went to Mississippi, then I would be screwed up in the head right now. But I figured it out. It's because I'm like, all right, well, obviously I'm the oddball out. Let me figure out how to blend in a little bit. Yeah. So by God, I went and got my Sperry's. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I went from Jordans to Sperry's real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Got a couple kids from Memphis that came in. I was like, okay, here we go.
That's so
and then, picked my Jordans back up. And it's like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. And then I came back. When I transferred back to home, man, I was at Mount High School. We was about 70% black, 30% white. It was like, all right. But I know how to deal with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I could you name it, I could deal with everybody. So I was just like, all right, cool. Like let's do this, man. So man, like just been trucking along. Yeah. Figuring it out.
What all do you do here?
What all sports? Yeah.
Are you involved in a little bit of everything?
Man, I dibble and dabble in everything. Yeah. I'm a big proponent of, man. I'm a sports guy. I'm not just football. Right. Don't get me wrong. Like if it ain't for Jake and it ain't for this program, like I'm not here. Right. I'm not in Moody. And so obviously, man, like I'm here with football. But I got basically all the Olympic sports. Yeah. I got baseball, softball, volleyball, wrestling. I would track a little bit. Basketball. I help, man. Anybody that needs it, and that wants it, man, I'm gonna help out. And it's just kind of I go to all the games. I sit on the bench, for most of the sports.
Yeah.
I bring the same energy to them that I bring to football, and I think it's kind of helped me bridge the gap culturally speaking.
Sure.
Not just with this, because obviously, man, you fight the stigma a lot, man. Like, oh, it's football gets it's just football. No, man, I deal with athletes. Like, I deal with athletes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna bring the juice for volleyball on the bench for volleyball, just like I do when I'm rocking with Jake on Friday nights. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been my thing. Like, and you can see, like, the kids buy into that. The kids see that.
Absolutely.
The parents see it. The community sees that. Like, and they buy into you and what you're doing. And like, that's my brand is just taking off. Like, taking off because people don't see, when they see SF3, they don't see just SF3 the logo. They see a little piece of Cam everywhere. And so, like, that's where, culturally speaking, like, that's where we're headed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's what people want to be a part of that. This, man, it's a beautiful thing. Just seeing like this whole 411. It's the 411. I know you hear about it. I know you see it. People have 411 and blah blah blah. Like, dude, this is 411 is. That's 411 is it ain't just a road.
Right.
It is what runs through people's heart when they think of this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's deeply, like, that's what I'm here to push. Jake, he can say it, but like, I'm the one that can really like inject it into the hearts of the people around, because I'm hands-on with every kid, all the parents, all the coaches.
Yeah.
I'm at the games, they see me, man, let me inject this 411 culture into everybody. And so, so far, like, you see it, man, it's everywhere. All down, 411. You see 411 this, 411 that.
Yeah.
I don't really think it was like that before we got here. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, man, with sports, like, it's kind of taking off.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to push the culture that he brought and trying to add a little flavor to it here and there, and what I can, whatever I can do and whatever I can help, and that's what I'm here for, man. Now, obviously, the strength and conditioning, man, like, that stuff to me, dude, that's easy. Like strength and conditioning, dude, that's so easy. Like, I go in that weight room, man, I cook you something up real quick. You can look at our kids, you can see that the product on the field, man. You look at our kids, you look at everybody else's kids. They're gonna be proof in the pudding right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, pushes and pulls. You got 5 basic human movements. You got to push and pull and press. You got to squat. Like, dude, like, that stuff, man, strength and conditioning, man, that's so minuscule. That, like, I tell people, like, that's what that truly means. Like, that's a small part.
Yeah.
It's just other stuff that people don't see, that people, they don't get. That's the other stuff. That's the real stuff. Man, I go in there, I got a group coming in about an hour. What time is it? I got a group coming in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, it's easy. Easy to me. That ain't even work.
Right.
The real work is like this other stuff. It's this. Man, how do we get these kids fed? How do we, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the real work, and so, that's truly it right there, man. It's do X's and O's, man. Win the ball games, dude. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Well,
like,
it's the sport is a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Like, for
100%.
something bigger later down the road.
100%, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Where do you? We'll end on this. Where do you want to go ultimately?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Like, what do you want to do ultimately? Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing?
Man, it sounds so cliche. It sounds so cliche. But I want to be exactly where I'm at. You know, like I want to be where my feet at, man. Like I really don't care about down the road for real, for real. You know, like I'm big on being where my feet at.
Yeah.
You know, like if that's in Moody. All right, I'm about to make Moody the biggest place that I could possibly make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't enough time. If I'm here 10 years, that still ain't enough time for me to do everything that I want to do. I'm never gonna have enough time to do exactly what I want to do.
Right.
So I might as well do everything that I can with where I'm at.
That's it.
Because I just know me. I never have enough time to do what I want to do. If it was up to me, man, don't even get me started. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I get it. Not from obviously from a coaching or strength and conditioning standpoint, but I get it. There's a lot of things I want to books I want to write. You know, stuff like this I want to do. 10 years ain't enough.
Man, you asked me out, man. I want to be where my feet at. I want to be very good at being where my feet at. And a big indicator of that for me, to be honest with you, is like when I leave somewhere, like I want to leave them all the resources that they need in order to keep it moving. But to be honest with you, like I want to do such a great job that when I leave, everything just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that I want it to happen like that, but like just the fact that you do so much, you did so much that it's gonna take 8 people to replace you. It's gonna take, 14 shrimp coaches to do what you was able to do. Like it is what it is. Like I want to take the standard. Like I tell people all the time, our thing here is like the standard is the standard. And like that was good for our first 2 years. But this whole offseason I kept preaching to the guys like, dude, I'm not gonna congratulate you for being the standard. I'm not gonna congratulate you for doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like I'm gonna congratulate you when you take that thing to another level.
Elevate it,
When you take us higher, now we talking. Because like if we got a bunch of kids and a bunch of people in a community that's so stagnant with just being okay, all right, cool. What is our standard? Because that can sometimes get a little, that can get a little shaky. But if we got a bunch of people, a bunch of kids, and a bunch of a community that's just so invested in just growing, like let's grow, dude. Let's go figure out how to do more. Like let's go do that. Like that's what needs to be congratulated. That's what I feel like. And not saying that I need to be congratulated at all, but like that's what I do my best to like. I try my best to do that every single day. Like every single. I don't try. I do it every single day. Like that's just who I am. That's just what I do. And I want a bunch of people around me that's thinking the exact same way. And so man, that's my. Like I couldn't tell you, when I left the Chargers, everybody was like, "Oh my God, why did you come back?" I was like, "Dude, y'all don't get it." You know what I'm saying? Like, I can still call Davion Dozier right now, and because that was my, I still got Joe. I can call them right now, and I can probably tell them something that could probably elevate them. I can't, man. At the time, I can't call Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. What am I gonna tell those guys? Dude, they're worth $150-something million. It ain't much I can tell them.
No.
I can pick up the phone right now. I can call Joe, or I can call Davion, or I can call Cole, or I can call Carson, or I can call I can call Pancake right now. It still impact them some type of way. It's a little bit harder for you to do that in the league. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that, man. It's just like, man, this is, dude, like, I want to be with my feet. I just want to be with my feet, man. So
that's awesome.
So that's that, man.
That's awesome. Let's end it right there.
Yes,
That was awesome, man.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, man, it's
Nice to get
good.
to know you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, man. Likewise.
All right. We'll wrap this one up.
That's it.
Appreciate it.
All right.
It was good
Appreciate
stuff.
you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.